This
Yeah.
conference will now be recorded.
Welcome to Dr. TSPR show. This is Dr. Tangella Shiva Prasad Reddy alias Dr. TSPR. Namaste, Adab, hello. Extremely sorry, we are 8 minutes delayed, but we are coming up with the latest. And as usual, we have our esteemed guests in Colonel Sanjay Srivastava ji. As and when you remember his name, Cropsy, and as and when disaster happens, whether it is lightning or floods, he is always there. And a bit late, we have been starting last after 2 or 3 weeks, maybe we could not connect, but today is again important topic: why Kerala is again witnessing the repeat of 2018. That too we have done exhaustively. What happened to the governments and all those local bodies, right from panchayats, municipalities, and the government machinery? Why are they not working? Once flooding, entire streets, houses get water, everything comes to standstill, and last 4 or 5 days Kerala education and other sectors are enjoying holidays. Why this? Why this repeat of this? And we have another wonderful guest in Ramesh Kanduri Jayaram Garu. He is a former Director General of Indian Meteorological Department. How many times he has been persisting with his clear data that everything is not on the record. Everything is live now to the administrators, and that can be shared with every population, people, the stroke of a button. Why that is not been happening? And again, we have the climate specialist from Karnataka, Dr. V.S. Prakash. Now, he has undergone cataract. Maybe when I repeat, this title will be there. How long this opaqueness? How long this opaqueness of these rulers, these civic bodies, these panchayats, these administrators, how long people should suffer? Why should people suffer? And why even people are not promptly protesting this inconvenience every now and then, as and when it starts raining? What happened to the drains? What happened to the river fills? And what happened to the dams? And all those canals or rivers or rivulets, is it because of encroachment? Is it because of lack of understanding? Is it because of crores of rupees are spent, as to be seen when you come to expenditure part, but are the drains functioning to the fullest capacity? So these are all the topics which have been going around. A learned society like Kerala, every now and then, if this is happening in Kerala, then just imagine the rest of the world which have been regularly bringing it to your notice. Sanjay ji, I'll start with you. Shall I make you a presenter, sir?
Yeah, please do that.
Yes, sir.
Can you see the presentation?
I think it has gone to a side, sir. Bring
Can
it
you see the
to.
presentation?
Yes, yes. But no, yes, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Reddy, for this platform. And on a timely intervention, 2018 floods repeat in Kerala. As far as the current situation is concerned, the biggest, challenge which is there in front of us, that tomorrow there is a low pressure system being developed in the Bay of Bengal, that is by Sunday, which is likely to aggravate the rains. We already know that as far as today's situation is concerned, a number of factors have contributed to the complete situation. We had, intense rain, full reservoirs level, overflowing rivers, and the release of water from the Parambikum and Thirumul. So, and then this Porinkal Kuthu Dam has also resulted in the release of water from this dam has resulted in the overflow of the Chalakudi River. Total deaths so far in last 5 days, 22. 6,411 people have been shifted to 221 relief camps. This is the current satellite picture. If you see, the Kerala India Meteorological Department has put Kerala on yellow and orange alert. This is another view of the satellite picture, basically water vapors. And you can see this area of Kerala, this is under threat area. So these are the satellite pictures of INSAT 3D today's. And as far as the Kerala rivers are concerned, this is the Kerala's map. You can see, and you can see the river levels. So these are the areas. These are the areas which I am saying: Apuza, Kollam, Ernakulam. These are the areas where the flash point is today. As far as the dam is concerned, Idukki is almost full, and there are in the hilly areas landslides are taking place. So there may be a chances of landslide. In my second part, I will share the landslide prone areas. So far, I am sharing this part only in the status. These are the hotspots identified. These hotspots are the flood hotspots in Kerala, which is as per the Google, and Google has already issued its alert. As far as the difference is concerned, in 2018, Idukki was full on 29 July 2018. Water was not released on time. 2022, Idukki is almost full and water is being regulated. 2018, IMD warning was ignored. Now IMD warning complied. In fact, Director General IMD visited Kerala on 1st August and he has apprised the state government about the status of rainfall, expected situation, and risk which are there, and suggestive measures. There was a high-level meeting where Chief Minister, Mr. Honorable Pinari Vijayan himself attended. Rain forecast 7 to 15th August was there. Despite that, the water was not released. Now Kerala Rains is giving good rain forecast, and forecast is there on the Kerala State Disaster Management Authority website. Local level flooding information was sudden to local last time. So people were taken by a surprise. Now there is close monitoring and preventive evacuation. As I showed you, 6411 people have been evacuated in 211 relief camps. Interstate coordination was lacking. Now there is a close coordination with Tamil Nadu. Lack of preparedness was there last time. As of now, the state seems to be better prepared, and we hope for a better situation. So this is the status which is there in Kerala. I would like to now go to our other speakers who are respected Dr. Ramesh and Dr. Prakash sir to dwell upon further. Over to you. Dr. Reddy, over to you.
Ramesh ji. I think now you should be able to. Then
Yeah.
we can come to
Good evening,
Prakash Garu
Dr.
for
Dr.
yeah.
Prakash, Colonel Sanjay Srivastava. It is a nice to interact with you all and in your company to discuss very important issues of public relevance. See, some lesson learning appears to have been made as per the updated information Colonel Sanjay Srivastava ji has just presented. But that is not good enough. Why? Because if you see the geographical location of Kerala hills and reservoirs built over the hills, coastal Kerala is plain and 20 to 30 kilometers inland Western Ghats are there. South of Palghat, if you see, north of Palghat, Western Ghats are on the coast, all along Karnataka, Goa, Maharashtra coast. Whereas when it comes to Kerala, Western Ghats are slightly inland. And most of the reservoirs on one side of the hills is Tamil Nadu, another side of the hills is Kerala. The whole difficulty is whole rain, heavy rains are there in the hilly catchments. Most of the rivers are there. That's how many reservoirs, at least 18 of them, big major reservoirs are built in the hills of Kerala, and they are released. Several of them release water to the west to the Arabian Sea. Only couple of them release water on sharing basis to Tamil Nadu side also. And in this particular situation, they are supposed so far that all these reservoirs are managed by Kerala State Electricity Board, because they were generating electricity requirement of Kerala totally by hydroelectric power source. And their attitude was to store as much as water as possible during the monsoon season and use that water judiciously for producing the electricity during the dry period, non-monsoon period. So that approach has so far did not create much problem to them until climate change started impacting with intense rains, unusually very high quantum of rainfalls, and beyond much beyond the holding capacity of all the reservoirs which they have built. Once what is happening 2018 was they have stored water, they did not keep buffer for additional rain bringing in flows into those reservoirs. So that's how they have to release suddenly open up all the gates and release. Downstream is a very steep slope, so within 1-2 hours everything will be coming to plains of Kerala, and then inundating all the townships, colonies, and low-lying areas, etc., etc. And because of those slopes, earlier no habitation was there. Now, upslopes of Kerala are habitated by the people, and a lot of slope stability is disturbed. Deforestation is already there, and because of that, added misery is the landslides and mudslides associated with not only with the rainfall, even with the releases of additional water from the river channel. So now with the climate change with 2022 now, they are ready to carefully assess the inflows based on the rainfall forecast given by MD, which was not done earlier. Now it is doing, it is very good. But the reservoirs are already full. If same intensity or similar intensity rain happens again in 2022, we are only 2 months through of monsoon season. Kerala monsoon continues up to December. After some southwest monsoon, they will have northeast monsoon immediately coming. So even November, December also heavy rains are possible. Once the whole catchment is saturated and all reservoirs are full, again any extra water will put pressure on religious, and then the downstream adverse impacts associated with landslides, overflowing of channels, etc., etc. Now, in the process, what we need to think is, whenever 2018 type of epochs happen, how to deal with additional inflows, additional quantum of water, and once reservoirs have to release water downstream in any case. In that case, if carrying capacity of downstream river channels have to be increased in any case. So that is what now we will have to look for, how to increase the carrying capacity of the reservoir releases when heavy rainfall spell continues for longer period with high intensity episodes. So these are some of the issues locally we will have to cope with, and how to find out a solution for this. Climate change, extreme rainfall, more intense rainfall, more and more episodes of heavy rainfall, and uh, very quickly reservoirs will be filled, and then downstream releases because of high slopes. Uh, Kerala will be under uh, threat, and vulnerability of Kerala will go up with the increased frequency, intensity, and more epochs of heavy rainfall. Thank you.
Wonderfully, you have put it very clearly to, I think everyone is understanding. And now you see, don't you think because of these constructions being in the path of the rivers, last time me and Sanjay Srivastava we were trying to point out how the silt has reduced the capacity of carrying capacity or holding capacity of the rivers or the canals. And not only that, on their path, now you see even Cochin International Airport, it is there in the path of the same dam, Periyar. So how do you
Yes.
look? They have not even changed, bothered to now see again another threat. So again, cyclone threat is there. Now how do you link? The dams are full, rivers are overflowing, roads are with full of water, holidays declared in Kerala. Now how do you look at this scenario, sir? After your word, then I'll go to Ramesh ji. I mean Prakash ji.
Yeah, this is already, we are on the uh, blink of dealing with a catastrophic situation, and now we have to find out evacuation of the people. They have started. That is one point. But in the process, whatever asset damages, infrastructure damages have happened in 2018 and 2019, and even 20 some locations. So it is not easy to reconstruct, recover from those personal asset loss and infrastructure loss. So we have not really worked on minimizing those repeat events of catastrophe from 2018. That's what people have become wiser. Now more information is getting percolated. People are moved to safer areas from vulnerable zones. But loss of asset at personal level and infrastructure level, recovery, reconstruction has started, but that's not good enough. So at personal level, economic, socio-economic impacts will be very high unless and until some re-engineering to take care of the extra inflows, and how to increase the carrying capacity of outflow channels. Something need to be thought over. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll come back to you again because I am son of Kerala. I come from the Pala, Kottayam district. In Pala, Meenachil River, in the center of Meenachil River, they have constructed hotels. Every time this happens, that entire area is inundated. After
Yes.
that, are there any lessons learned? Did they remove everything? No.
No.
Once the water recedes, again they start functioning from the same place. As you see in the international airport, Cochin International Airport, like all uh, those points, those strategic locations where the river is occupied, the flow of water is occupied. Because last time also we discussed water and elephant will never forget their way. I'll come back to you again. Prakash ji, anything you like to add, Sanjay Srivastava ji? how these disasters, before we go to Prakash ji.
You see, disasters, the these heavy rains are expected to take place with the climate change. As Dr. Ramesh sir has said, there will be more heavy rains, more frequent rains, and especially Kerala with long monsoon, southwest monsoon and northwest monsoon. There are expected rains which are there. Kerala had a, Kerala World Reconstruction Program, and they had $4 billion, which they got it. And some work has been done in Alpuza, which were the low-lying areas. Some dikes have been made. Some reconstruction was done. Most importantly is to preserve these, constructions which has taken place. Because with the changing times, increasing climate change, extremities, heavy rains, floods, such threats will be there. We need to have the resilient infrastructure, because ultimately every money is public money. It comes at a cost, and it has to be properly planned and invested. As far as the dam management is concerned, that's still a subject which Kerala has to relate it to the reality, to the expected threat, to the futuristic threat, and release the water. There has to be a river management system. There has to be, though there is a lot of strength in Kerala, they have very good panchayats, Kutumbakam, very good synergy. But hazard, Kerala is God's own country. So God has blessed Kerala with everything, and rains too throughout the year. So this natural blessings to the God's own country needs to be preserved, conserved, and properly regulated. The fault lies in proper regulation and the governance. That is where the things are there. And whatever the reconstruction program has taken place, there has been a lot of court cases, agitations about the environmental conservation and various other aspects. Dam management still needs a drastic improvement, which is there in Kerala. The rivers overflowing and the vulnerable people, vulnerable assets which were made along the routes of the rivers, or along the flow lines, along the contours, they should be reshifted. They have not been shifted. And again, those places will incur losses. They are rather incurring losses. People lying in low-lying areas, they need to be, taken, shifted away to a better land. So a proper land isolation marking has to be there, and there has to be a strong regulation. As far as the IMD CWC forecasts are concerned, they are already in place. The senior most officials have visited the state, and though state is this year not taking now services of IBM, they are into with some local private channel for the rains. But I agree that state has to go on an intensive automatic weather station, flood forecasting system, and a localized flood. You see, the flood pattern has changed in India. It is not a long period of flood. There are going to be intense rain, short period of rain. So Kerala is currently underwater, and there is something known as city flooding. The city flooding system forecasts, the city flooding disaster management needs to be undertaken. That is where I find Kerala has a way ahead to, look for and do such planning, because cities like Kochi, Kozhikoda, then Thiruvananthapuram, Alpuza, they are, cities where city flooding is also very critical. Why critical? Because they are the business centers, they are the mass public habitation centers. They are the center of activities. So city flooding along with traditional flooding both have different strategy which state has to, you know, take it together. So it's a challenging situation, but these are the, critical situations which I feel. Over to you.
Wonderful, sir. They should know how to regulate dams, and then city flooding and normal flooding. If Kerala doesn't understand, as it rains till December, they are again suffering. Enroute the rivers. That is what we have been crying hoarse. Enroute river path. Last time also we did show. international airports, big establishments, and hotels in between the rivers. How can government be silent? That beats my intelligence. Yeah, Prakash ji, now are we going to witness this climate change? Has it become a regular phenomenon now? Is there anything wherein you say now this climate change can be reduced? Because now I don't see anything there, because more and more concrete jungles, more and more vanishing of forests, and more encroachments of rivers, embankments, canals. How do you look at this scenario in the Kerala perspective to start with? You unmute yourself, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, just I can supplement and complement what Dr. Ramesh and Colonel Sanjay Srivastava ji has expressed in this context. But what comes to my mind, what I would like to share is to reiterate what you said. Say things are happening where it has not happened over the last 300, 350, 400 years. Example, last year in Kaveri, where the Bhagamandala, where the Kaveri River takes place, huh? There was the tragedy which happened. Last 350 years, it was unheard of. And right now, apart from Kerala in Karnataka also, Kukke Subramania is flooded temple, which is very relevant. Just now, when I got a, a video where this Kukke Subramania is flooded. So it's a very, but when we
You
talk
share it to
about,
me, sir. You share it, Prakash ji. You share it to me through WhatsApp. I'll play.
I will do that. Yeah, sure,
Yeah,
I will do that. And
because that is a
but
big news.
coming
Big
back,
news. Temple is submerged in Karnataka too. What is happening? Yeah, that's why your
so
take on climate change is more
so
important now.
now, if things are happening which were which were unheard of, not experienced for the last 300, 350 years, a new learning is required. But things are happening, and we are trying to learn some new things. Still trying. How long we keep on trying, we don't know. See, Colonel Sanjay Srivastava and Dr. Ramesh made a mention of it. How good are we in understanding the what is happening around us? If you are if you are good enough to understand what is happening around us, we are good enough to respond to that, react to that, prepare to that. If you don't if you fail in understanding what is happening around us, probably let's say it's come to the Kerala, even Karnataka. In Western Ghats, for my just maybe I'm exaggerating, but still, if we for every step from the peak as you move down or towards the windward side or leeward side, most probably the leeward side, every step you take, there is the rainfall reduces by 1 millimeter. Every step. So, what Dr. Sanjay, Colonel Sanjay Shiva also says, are we having enough measurement to really capture the rainfall, which is the main source of all the discussion being done here? How many rain gauges we have on the peak of the Western Ghats? To my knowledge, no. Right way back, almost about 1.5 decades back in Karnataka, when I installed about 8,000 rain gauges, this is the thing which I spoke to the government. We need to have. Then, no, your system is GPS enabled. We don't get GPS signal in the Western Ghats, deep inside. Only in habitation, we do get. I said we'll go for a satellite linked, but it is very expensive. It costs about 5 lakhs. No, then monkeys will, bring them down. Elephants will, they destroy it. I said, we will make a pit all around us. We will have a sensor. But anyway, by the time I retired and I came out, still, to my opinion, those are the areas, critical areas. Unless you know what is happening, it is that area which is contributing down below. If you don't know what is happening there, and well, as Dr. Ramesh rightly said, and it is there is a climate change. There is a change in pattern, and we are yet to understand the the change which is happened and happening, and what is likely to happen tomorrow. There is a, okay, red alert is there, yellow alert is there, orange alert is there. What does it mean in terms of event happening where it has rained 200 millimeters, 250 millimeters in 1 hour, 2 hour, which going to bring huge flow into the dam. So there is a lack of data, rainfall data, weather data, as well as the flow data. How many flow stations are there? Is it enough? Is it accurate? Oh, so personally, I feel that we need to really think on these aspects. What is the new learning which is required, and also what needs to be done to really, fill up the gaps, knowledge gaps, the new learning, things like that. Probably in that context, probably we'll be able to. I should not use the word probably. We'll be able to, and more so, people like Dr. Ramesh and Colonel Sanjay Srivastava, and people who have got a lot of experience behind them. So every situation, the learning, the data, the information, the knowledge and wisdom, people are play around the data. Well, some people play around the information, but it requires some knowledge and wisdom to really arrive at consensus and action to be taken. That is not happening. That is not happening. Some things like at the data level itself. So, without really proper understanding, we assume that we have understood and we have reacted, we are prepared, and now, even for that matter, whatever engineering aspect designs are made, what is the probability? They all take 50% probability, 60% probability of the rainfall. What does it mean? Even if it is 70%, 10 years out of 10 years, 3 years you have to live with floods. 3 years you have to live with inundation. It is understood. Then why all this, noise? Well, be prepared. Get drowned, float, and get rescued, relief. If somebody throws food, catch it and eat it. Then why all this is, you said, I'm prepared for 70%. Okay, you're dancing, you're singing, you say that you have achieved a great thing in the world. Hooray, Bhaiya, you're prepared for 70%. 30% you yourself accepted to live with it. Then how to live with it is the question. I will come back again when I want. So this is a brief intro. No?
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. You said. I think I'll try to play this video. I think before Sanjay Srivastava ji will start getting into the second phase, try to show up there is a small network issue, but still I'm trying to get hold of the video which you have sent because of the Subramanya Swami temple in water in Karnataka, as has been a
That
regular
is the
phenomenon.
Western Ghats. On Western Ghats, getting inundated is exceptionally unusual event. That station is
Yeah.
that place is usual to get 30 to 40 centimeter per day, and that
Oh,
area getting inundated means
Yeah, yeah.
so that shows the management. That shows the
yes,
lack of preparedness.
yes,
That's why we want to show this. The lack of preparedness, in spite of a warning in 2018, we are still suffering. People are still suffering. Now it's a big news stating, oh, what is happening? So that shows the management. Oh, I think that shows the lack of preparedness. Oh,
yes,
that's why we want to show this. The lack of preparedness, in spite of a warning in 2018, we are still suffering. People are still suffering. Now it's a big news stating, oh, I have to come back to the original. I think it's my own thing which is being played. It's happening. No, I don't want to risk losing. So that shows the management. Oh, I think I have. That shows the lack of preparedness. Yeah, no, I don't.
yes,
I think there is some problem, serious problem. I think some encroachment. That's why we want to show this. The lack of preparedness, in spite of a warning in 2018, we are still suffering. People are still suffering. Now it's a big news stating, oh, I have to come back to the original this thing. I think it's my own thing which is being played. No, I don't want to risk losing. So that shows the management. Oh, I think I have. That shows the lack of preparedness. Sorry, gentlemen. Yeah. Is it clear now? Yeah, no, I don't. Yes. I think there is some problem, serious problem. I think something. That's why we want to show this. The lack of preparedness, in spite of warning in 2018, we are still suffering. People are still suffering. Now it's a big news stating, oh, I have to come back to the original this. I think it's my own thing which is being played. No, I don't want to risk losing. So that shows the management. Oh, I think I have. That shows the lack of preparedness. Sorry, gentlemen. Yeah. Is it clear now? Yeah, no, I don't. Yes. I think there is some problem, serious problem. I think something. That's why we want to show this. The lack of preparedness, in spite of warning in 2000. Oh, goodness. Are we back? Yeah, I think we are back now. Now, I don't want to meddle more. There is some serious technical issue which is happening. So, I don't want to. Yes, Sanjay ji, the second phase. I wanted to show that video. I will, in the course of time, I will definitely try to show you. Yeah, Sanjay ji, the second phase. I'll make you presenter.
No, I don't have a presentation because there is some issue. I'm not getting the connect of the.
Yeah, now you can speak on that because the landslides and all. The second phase is regarding landslides and all.
Robbie Plummer.
Shall I show him? Shall I make you the presenter?
You see, no, you just see. This is the landslide area of, the one bordering area is basically, this is the area which is the landslide prone area of, Kerala. This area needs to be, properly monitored, especially the highways which are coming from Karnataka, the highways which are coming from the, Tamil Nadu, and along with this, the river flow line. In case there is a landslide along the river flow line, then there will be change in the direction of the water, which can create more havoc. So flood, heavy rain, and landslide, all these three disasters need to be monitored so that the cascading impact of these disasters are prevented. So these things have to be taken into cognizance. There are some soft areas where already landslide has taken place, especially along the Periyar. There are areas in the central Kerala, central eastern Kerala, where there are vulnerable areas. So these areas, they need to be monitored, surveillanced, and a proper guard is required to be taken. Only thing is, the Kerala 2018 flood was 99 years. This came after almost 99 years. Now 2022, they need to be better prepared. And as far as the communication system is concerned, though they have improved it, but on ground, what the newspaper reports are coming, what the flashes are coming, there are people who are adversely affected, stuck. So proper local level flood management and other risk management is important. Over to you.
Yeah. Local management and risk management are very much important, Ramesh ji. They are still lacking. That's what we said. In spite of so many warnings, 2018, 19, 20, and in spite of the known fact that rains continue till December, whom do you think people should blame? People themselves or the governing fraternity or the ruling elite? Who should be blamed, sir? So the big catastrophe now.
Actually, we have to bring our support systems, say it administrators, say it engineering departments or municipal corporations, all our revenue authorities, municipal authorities, irrigation authorities, from response centric mode to prevention centric mode. Response centric mode, only people take people from vulnerable areas to relief camps and shelters, and once the event is over, leave it to them to their mercy. Just like that, feed them for some time. No, that is not enough. Now we have mitigation fund and response fund people are using, but mitigation fund should be used to find out what is causing this misery and how to prevent that happening repeat of 2018, so that prevention actions, prevention plans, risk reduction approach has to be immediately taken up on priority. Otherwise, again, year after year, season after season, this is continuing all over the country. So from relief centric approach, we have to create a social pressure for preparing everybody, particularly the government systems, to a protection centric approach, prevention approach, safety approach. So these are some of the things. First should be safety, then protection and prevention. So gradually, one bit by bit, you will have to create those safeguards. Otherwise, whatever development for 3 decades investments are made, all will collapse. So that situation, we should not allow it to happen. So immediately we should create a social pressure through intellectuals, discussions like this, public forums, and we have to pressurize for moving to a prevention mode and protection mode from the response-centric approach. That is what my submission. Once that is there, knowledge is there, people are there, so many intellectuals, so many people of Kerala origin working in very high positions in US, Canada, America, Germany particularly. So all of them can put their heads together and help Kerala to plan these safety and prevention and mitigation aspects and protect the Kerala population. Very high density population lives in Kerala and very rich and highly educated segment of Indian population. So that should not happen to that kind of society. That's what is my submission.
Can you give me the
Prakash ji.
present once?
Oh, I'm giving you.
Yeah, I just supplement Dr. Ramesh, what Dr. Ramesh said. Protection, prevention. It again depends on understanding the risk and vulnerability.
Yes.
Now, many events have happened over the last 5 years, 10 years, and the concerned scientific body or administrative body have done a study and they have submitted the report. In spite of that, it is happening again and again and again. Why? Probably we are yet to understand, we are yet to learn how to assess the risk and vulnerability in the changed hydrological regime, climate scenario, things like that. Probably a new learning is required. A new learning is required. Now, when so many incidences have happened, every time the concern, suppose if I name the organization, maybe it may not proper. There are organizations who are handling with landslides alone. There are big experts in the country handling landslides. They go there, they assess vulnerability, risk, and things like that. But still, whatever learning made, is it not possible to apply to every square kilometer? We have got all the technology, we have got remote sensing, satellite data, high resolution. Arre, Bapre, if you want to kill a person, you can use the technology where even he's hiding inside a house, you can send a weapon and hit him. Now with this technology, and if with whatever understanding the reports, if they have done a good job, Is it not possible to apply to every square kilometer, find out the risk and vulnerability? If it is, that means something is, a new learning is required. So I completely agree with Dr. Ramesh and Colonel Sanjay Srivastava. And now all these committees and reports, the committee, you find a group of people only. To my knowledge, academicians will be almost occupying these places. Suppose a field practitioner, you don't find him in a committee. A person who has seen about, got to the site and seen about 20, suppose a criteria committee, a person who has, involved with 15 landscapes of the minimum qualification to become a member of the committee. It is not so. If it is only a PhD, if he is a professor, he becomes a member. Maybe he must not have seen a landscape at all, not understand basic intricacies. So, in my opinion, these are the things which really matters a lot. Data, yes, bad data, good decision. How does it help? And good data, bad decision, bad data, good decision. In my opinion, it is a bad data, bad decisions are going together, together. How really we need to, address this issue is, in my opinion, nobody is addressing this issue the way it need to be addressed. Otherwise, whatever learning we have made since 2009, maybe last 10, 15 years, so many reports, why it happened, what was the risk factor, what is the vulnerability factor. Taking those things, every square kilometer, in 100 square meter can be mapped. The technology is available. Why it is not being done? That's my, I just, uh, Dr. Ramesh ji and Dr. Karnal Sanjay Shi also can supplement or add or correct if I am wrong.
No, no, not at all. Not at all.
Yes.
Absolutely right, sir. Absolutely right. In fact, the risk is futuristic. You have to learn lesson from what happened in the past, and you have to identify the risk of the future. So both together, you have to plan for your future actions. I will just take a quick run through of the lesson learned of 2018 Kerala flood. This is just a presentation. Can you see that?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So this is a picture. What happened in Kerala 2018? You can see it. This is what was there. You can see the coastal areas. You could see the flood which had really overtaken the life in Kerala. Basically, the cause of the flood which was there earlier, again, it was flash flood, river flood, coastal flood, urban flood. Again, various factors, causes of flood, geology, state of ground, drainage, catchment area, attempts at management, land use, catchment shape, vegetation, relief. So there are various causes. And the factors which affected vegetation cover, climate, slopes, rainfall intensity and duration, land use, soil type and depth, lakes and reservoirs, rock type. The geomorphology of Kerala plays a very, very important role. So geomorphology, especially the rock type, the soil type and depths, that's very important, and the land use planning pattern has to be accordingly regulated in Kerala. Next, that we had huge human loss, property loss. There was billions of dollars of loss, Benefits, of course, it recharges, there are good cropping, but we need to have long-term, short-term protection from floods in Kerala, which was undertaken. The structural measures, embankments, there are embankments which were made, dams and reservoirs. This remains a gray area. Natural detention, channel improvement. Channel improvement, some work is done, but majority is yet to be done. Drainage improvement, again a major drawback area. Diversion of flood rivers. This aspect needs efforts. Non-structural measures. Floodplain zoning and flood-prone map was prepared. Flood preparedness and community level awareness. A lot of work has to be done. has been done, but is yet to be done. Flood forecasting and early warning system is improved, but not complete. Afforestation, not given attention. Public relief, it was done. Flood insurance, it is very important that in our country we have a risk transfer mechanism. In our disaster management continuum in India, we have prevention, mitigation, response, and rehabilitation. In fact, before response, there has to be a risk transfer mechanism, that is the insurance of properties, insurance of human being. So flood insurance is required. Basic geographical facts: Kerala has all the monsoons which we have deliberated upon, relief and all. Lesson: nature always makes the world heaven, but when it is disturbed, makes the world hell. I repeat, nature always makes the world heaven, but when it is disturbed, it makes the world hell. After 2018, again in 2021-22, similar constructions have been undertaken. So the government needs to be really careful, and so the public also has to cooperate, and public also plays a major role, bigger part in managing the risk of the state. So this is what I had to present about the 2018 flood. Over to you, please.
Yeah, wonderful presentation, sir. Very neatly explained what happened then and what is happening now. Why these simple things I don't understand, the government of the day fails to understand. So simple it is,
One
and I'll
important part I
just
would like to say, what happens after every disaster, there are huge number of tenders which start, you know, and huge expenses, huge procurement is done. What is missed
yeah,
out is the knowledge. And in
yeah,
such scenario, the knowledge component assumes greater importance because the risk is dynamic. And that dynamic risk identification and risk management is done by a component called knowledge. This knowledge has to be given importance, respect, and due incorporation in the futuristic flood management in Kerala. It is not only applicable to Kerala, it is applicable to all the states.
yeah. Knowledge
Vendor
transformation
will
is a
sell his
must.
product, but he will not give you the knowledge. Knowledge is some other
Yes,
component which has to be incorporated in disaster management. Vendors will sell his
knowledge.
document and he'll go away.
Yeah, that's a big point you are making. Tenders. I mean to say, knowledge has to be the one which I should given. Excuse me, along with the insurance part. Once you insure, that is how the responsibility will start happening. Once you are insuring against floods, repeated floods, it becomes more evident that the government of the day has to function. Otherwise, they will perish. They have to pay enormously. In between, we are facing some technical glitches, but the wonderful points: flood has to be insured so that the responsibility will shift to the governing elite, those who are trying to rule, including the so-called settled administrators, and then even people have to play a major role because it is our money which is being utilized and channelized. After every flood, lots of tenders, lot of money, thousands and crores of money is instituted aftermath. For what? Without knowledge, they try to siphon away in the form of contracts, with leaving the climate change a big this thing, and that is the sole factor which again will revive these floods one after the other. Yes, sir. Your comment, sir, Ramesh ji, and then after that I'll go to VS Prakash.
Yeah, very rightly flagged by Kalnalji. Channel management, drainage management, additional outflow carrying capacity of flood waters which are expected to come beyond the storage capacity of reservoirs. and even all reservoirs are releasing water simultaneously for days together. The carrying capacity of the existing carrying capacity of the river channels is not good enough. So a lot of flood plain management is required. Flood plain encroachments got to be on priority avoided. If you remember correctly, a couple of months before, Supreme Court has demolished a multi-story building of very high-profile society living in Cochin, and cited that building on the coastal zone violation laws. And finally, Supreme Court directed for the demolition, insisted that
Yes.
the building is demolished. So like that, so many coastal zone violations are there, environmental violations are there, floodplain zoning regulations violations are there. So these are some of the things. Unless these things are taken up on priority by the governments, societal pressure got to be created. Otherwise, everybody will be at risk. Not they risk will not spare anybody, rich or poor. Once it is there, so it goes out of control, then everybody will suffer for decades. So at least the lesson learning is three things: floodplain
Right.
protection, channel management, drainage management, and additional carrying capacity for the released
Email.
waters in the reservoirs has to be.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah. Additional carriage capacity. Yeah. Yes, Prakash ji, you wind up, sir.
Yeah.
One, one,
Uh,
one point, sir.
yeah.
Prakash sir, after Prakash sir, please. Dr.
Sorry.
Prakash sir.
Yeah.
Dr. Prakash, your comments?
Yeah. You're asking me. Can I?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yeah. I mean, uh, at a state level, at the uh, national level, this aspect, whatever we discussed now, it is worth discussing in detail at a state level, at the national level. Look at the what has happened and what we have learned, what we have missed, or with the bad data, we are taking bad decisions, no data. I say, for example, we are because it's very relevant. We are talking about rain, and when during the uh, presentation by Colonel Sanjay Ji and Dr. Ramesh, they said short duration rain. So that means we are not yet to really talk in terms of intensity of rain. So heavy rain. No, okay. It was a 200 millimeter per hour or 100 millimeter per hour, 125 millimeter per hour. Still, we are not talking in that language. Neither any nobody is talking in terms of language. We are talking about climate change. We are talking about risk reduction. We are talking about so many things, but we are not talking a basic language itself. We are yet to transform ourselves. The language remains the same. And the language remains the same. Human being, we all remain the same. We go on talking like this. At least if they don't talk in terms of intensity, it doesn't mean at all. It really matters a lot. Whatever measures to be taken, engineering, non-engineering aspects means a lot. So somewhere, so today, if you want to know the rainfall in an area, you get 3 to 4 sources of data, but they don't match with each other. One says 8 millimeter, another source says it is 20 millimeter, another source says 37 millimeter, another maybe 100 millimeter. Why we are not talking about it? And we have a confusion in defining rainfall in an area. How can we handle the complex situation like handling the vulnerability risk and preparedness and things like that? Who is to be who is to be responsible for this? We are still bearing with that 8 millimeter to 80 millimeter. It was almost 10-fold, 4-fold, 5-fold. So in terms of such a situation, if somebody has measured 100 millimeter, but it could be 400 millimeter. So with the bad data, how we can expect good decisions? So it is the because or something very intricate, some of the other things also spoken about. When you really go like a marketing tender and really find a solution, no, it really needs a much more beyond that, a good data, a good information. So probably we need to really look in the direction.
Yeah, wonderful. I think that core point, I think we will have leave it to Dr. Ramesh ji. But yes, Sanjay Srivastava ji, you had some point to make.
Yes, Kerala has a lot of plantation, gardens, farming. These all have huge labors from outside. From Assam, Bengal, Bihar, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh.
Yes.
The relief distribution has to be equitable and equal. Actually, they are the people who are most affected. But when it comes to relief, I will not dig the past, but I'll only recommend that every human being who has suffered is equal and he should be equally compensated without any discrimination. So this is my appeal, this is my suggestion, and I think I have conveyed what I mean to convey, what has happened in the past. So 2022, there should be a equal distribution of relief without discrimination. I hope I have made it clear. That's all.
You did, because we have seen the migrant workers how much they have been contributing for the building of the societies. They are like proteins in a body which builds. And we have seen the COVID-19, how migration, how this migration was helping for the basic building of the society. And in times of distressful conditions like flood, relief, and all, they should never be forgotten. They should never be forgotten. Yes, that point should be. Rameshji, I think you need to make an assessment of Dr. V.S. Prakashji and the entire scenario.
No, there is no doubt on it. We should start to talking about the climate change impacts in terms of different language. I agree with it. 5 to 10 centimeter per hour intensity rainfall, which was unusual earlier, has become more frequent and becoming more common and common. Imagine just 31 rainfall in Amarnath Ji cave for 2 hours has created so much catastrophe there. Just 31 of rainfall. So with the high slopes and vulnerable zones, even that 2 centimeter rainfall in 2 hours, 3 centimeter rainfall in 2 hours can create so much catastrophic conditions. So now it is high time that we have to talk about changed intensities of precipitation, and which is almost become beyond coping capacity of our responding agencies. Now, intense rainfall and high intensity precipitation has proved to be beyond coping capacity of our administrators and responding agencies. This is proved again and again in urban floods and river floods and coastal flooding like Kerala, peculiar coastal flooding like Kerala, reservoir villages and vulnerable slopes. But a highly developed and knowledge society is also not able to escape this particular changed scenario, becoming beyond coping capacity of everybody. Floods were not so much threatening earlier, 10 years before or 1.5 decades before. Now it has become much more concerning issue for the disaster managers than the tropical cyclone. Earlier, cyclones were uh, the most important disasters to be handled, and subsequently drought. Now flood has become spread all over the country now because of high intensity precipitation, high rate of precipitation in short duration that is happening. And I think it is the high time now we have to think about increasing our coping capacities, building protection to the people.
Wonderful. Yep. Anyone would like to sum it up, or else we'll say bye.
It's done. Thank you. Ramesh, here's
Thank
what is
you.
the
And
final word.
yeah, because I just would like to see if I can. The technology allows me to play that video of Subramanyeshwara Swami temple in waters in Karnataka to wind up as a warning to all those who have been planning months ahead. Still, why this thing is happening? Every time we discuss about relief, we are just trying to discuss about relief, forgetting, as he rightly pointed out, prevention and protection, safety of the public. Why that is not happening? Why that is not happening? Just try to play this. Latest from Karnataka.
Only audio is coming, Srivastava Reddy garu.
Audio is not there.
Only audio is coming, no video.
No video. Let me play it again. Maybe it was just trying to take some time. Just check, sir.
Oh, not yet. Now it has come. Yes.
So Prakash ji, explain this where this temple is located.
Yeah. This is in Kukke Subramania, Puttur, Dakshina Kannada, and a very holy place and visited by many pilgrims. And it's a very unusual phenomenon. Kukke Subramania getting flooded this year, and also just about 2 years back, including Kukke Subramania, Dharmasthala, Udupi, they all made a plea appealing to the devotees not to come because they were having shortage of water. So here, see the Western Ghats,
Yeah.
Dharmasthala, and made a plea, please don't come. We don't have water to drink. Udupi, Sri Krishna temple, Kukke Subramania. Now, these places which had not witnessed floods for a long time, they are witnessing floods also. And if it can happen in Western Ghat, there is something we need to really, you know, think about the board and a new learning is. Oh, this is in the Dakshin Kannada, Western Ghats, Udupi, on the banks of river Netravati. Thank you.
So this is what we have presented with all the
And
evidences.
again, to
What?
just say, and again, the
Yeah.
high rainfall area, it didn't happen all along the Malnad area and coastal area. Very localized high intense rainfall in that place. In fact, I have that map I could have shown. So this is another important thing, probably very localized. So it created a huge inflow, overland flow, and it is happening. Yes, thank you.
It's not highlighted. Last year, Srungeri also faced the same situation.
Yes,
You
yes, yes,
remember?
yes,
So
yes.
these are happening, but we are not giving enough attention. Why such things are happening? How to protect? Because these are the pilgrim areas, and just like Chardham Yatra in monsoon, here also so many people will be visiting during the Shravan
Oh
Mas and
yes.
monsoon time. So high tourist attraction spots, just like Uttarakhand. We have to
True,
give
true,
enough serious thought to protect the people.
true.
Yes, they are pilgrimage centers, Kukku Subramanya Swami and Dharmastali, Udupi, unusual concentration in one particular area, heavy rains, flooding, urban flooding, other than river flooding, coastal flooding, the slopes which we have witnessed, which we have been witnessing in the slopes, how those mud or whatever you call, and the soil, how it is trying to give away. But now this important urban flooding in those pointed areas, heavy rains, why it has been happening right from 2018, 2022, why governments are not learning a lesson from these things, why they have not able to gather knowledge so that they could have prevented and they could have protected lives, precious lives, and the property. Why they are not doing? Is it only after the flood through contracts they want to loot at the cost of public suffering and public money which is being looted, and who at the cost of the public? That is why this show is so important for every citizen to wake up. It is our money, our life, our property, our resources. Think left and right. You have your own daughter and son. If you don't become responsible in thinking, there will be nothing left for your children tomorrow. How will they survive? Be selfish. Start questioning. Why this flooding every time? Why we have to suffer every time? Why this lot of infrastructure damage every time? And in whose interest? And everything becomes costly because our money again is diverted to those. Why, as rightly pointed out by Srivastava, last time also we have shown in the Periyar River, even the international Cochin International Airport still exists. Thanks to defense, they had to fly through using the defense airports temporarily. Still, we have not learned, and that to a crucial state like Kerala, from where the southwest monsoon happens, and from Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, everything, every state, Maharashtra, that side too. Now they are also facing the heat of this flooding. Is it man-made disaster? Simply because we are not understanding, we are not understanding that knowledge. Through that knowledge, you could have had better planning. If government is not understanding, it becomes imperative for every concerned citizen to force the government to change the attitude of the government and administrators, lest, as he rightly said, you you have to float, and you should always learn to float and be rescued at our own public money, risking our own lives. Thank you very, very much, sir. We will have in series also the
Thank you.
why this,
Thank you. Thank you.
the reason for a pointed flooding or pointed heavy rainfall in that area specifically. I request Srivastava to take the lead so that he can come out with a better presentation, and how many times we have to tell through the show. These gentlemen are always available for any government. Why they are not judiciously utilizing their rich, resourceful, experienced minds when it comes to such disasters, and still the government doesn't want to rope in them. At least now, we hope government becomes serious with concerned citizens becoming more and more knowledgeable. Thank you and good night, sir.
Good night. Good
Bye.
night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night. Good night. Thank you. Bye.
Night.